your use of online stuff, and disrupting your sleep, your silence and reflection, and your health. And then he praised young people for the way they share information online and how they help out in those causes, you know, like the free rice cause. And then he encouraged young people, he said, why don't you share Christ online? And he said, do people, like on your Facebook profile, which those of you who don't have one, I'm sure will have one soon as you get older. He said, did you put a scripture quote on there? Do people know you're Christian? Is there some little thing there that shows that you're Christian? And he said, the greatest thing you can do for your peers is to share Christ with them. Remember Spider-Man? With great gifts comes great responsibilities, great powers. Isn't the media great power? So we have great responsibilities too. Now, the Pope, during World Youth Day, he collected a whole bunch of teenagers, young people, young adults, cell phone numbers so he could text them. Okay? And these were his messages. Somebody want to read the message? Yeah. Yeah.
Young friend, God and his people expect much from you because you have within you the Father's supreme gift. The Spirit of Jesus, signed Pope Benedict XVI. The Spirit impels us forward towards others. The fire of his love makes us missionaries of God's charity. See you tomorrow night. Pope Benedict XVI.
Isn't that neat? So our Pope is leading the way. How many of you have cell phones? How many of you text? Okay, most of you text. You're addicted. Okay. It's your life. Actually, we were just going to talk about that. Addictions, how some of this stuff can really be addictive. How do you know if you're addicted? Oh, how? When you repeatedly use something. You know a simple way to know you're addicted? You can't say no. Okay? That's a very simple way to know. All right. So, internet is really about relationships. You know, at Mass today, when Father was talking about the 10 Commandments, the 10 Commandments are really all about relationships too. If you look at each single one of those commandments, it's about relationships, not about rules and regulations. Okay, there's a lot of addictions. A lot of the stuff we mentioned can be addictive. It's good to have filters online at home. And this is one of the best ones. You have it on the back of your little card because you don't install it at home. They install it online. The company does. So you can't decide someday you're going to override it. Okay? And you also have some little sites there on your the bottom of your cards, safekids.com and safeteens.com. And there's actually a contract that you can print out and sign with your parents. And there's lots of ideas about being a media smart family. But again, in the end, you are being released on your personal recognizance. Does anybody know what that means? You see it on like cop shows and law shows and TV shows, crime shows. What is, if somebody's being released on their personal recognizance, what does that mean? Yeah. 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 What does personal recognizance mean? You know?
Well, I was going to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you watch Lost?
No, I don't watch Lost. I never got into it. How many people here watch Lost? You're addicted. I love how easily you guys say that. Okay, I'll tell you what personal recognizance means. It means when somebody has to appear in court and they don't lock them up because they say, you know what, I trust this person. I trust that they're going to show up in court. So in our use of media, we're really on personal recognizance. Isn't it true that if you really wanted to, there's all kinds of things you could do online that your parents wouldn't want you to do, and they would maybe never know about it? How many people say that's possible? Yeah. Yeah, they can check your history. I mean, there's ways to disable that too, but in the end, you can run, but you can't hide. You know when you see the FBI on television, like either it's fiction or nonfiction, and they walk out with the tower, you know, the hard drive, they're walking out with somebody's hard drive, because they're going to check it? Even if that hard drive's been erased, they can still find it. There's ways, because the FBI hires the hackers, and they know how to get in there. Anything you do in cyberspace lasts forever and ever and ever. It never goes away, okay? So again, we need to think about the consequences, and we need to think about living in light of our goal, planning for our goal of heaven. Okay. And, you know, again, sometimes young people have to be the ones that start the conversation with your parents, because they don't even know what's going on online sometimes. You know, you find sites, or your friends tell you about things, and so they don't really even know. So you've got to like kind of, you don't have to tell them absolutely everything in your life, but you have to let them in a little bit so they can help you, because you know what? Are they not responsible for keeping you safe here and hereafter? Yes? Isn't that their responsibility? Yeah. Yeah. So you've got to help them. See, when we were growing up, when Sister Barbara and I, and the teachers, and Sister Margaret were growing up, our parents could go into our rooms, read our diaries, look at our CD liner notes. Everything was out in the open. But now everything's hidden. You know, it's on an iPod. It's like hidden. They can't see it. Okay. And hopefully, you know, our parents shouldn't freak out either. So we should feel comfortable that we can go to our parents about online stuff. All right. Again, because it's part of our lives. Our lives are media lives. Okay. Who is the model for all good communication? Yeah. What? Never mind? What? Yeah. Jesus, right. God. What does that triangle represent? Yeah. The Trinity, the Holy Trinity. God in three persons. God is love, right? Love is the best kind of communication. And in the Trinity, we actually have three persons who are continually loving each other and continually communicating with each other. And you young people, who said they texted a lot? Okay, so you're constantly communicating with your friends, right? And that's a beautiful thing, you know? That's a very godlike thing. God is constantly communicating within himself and with us, constantly. He never stops. So sometimes, you know, my brother, when my niece first started texting, he was all upset about that. Oh, you know, she's wasting all this money, and all she ever says is like, hey, what's up? I don't know, what's up with you? Nothing. Back and forth and back and forth. This is a waste of time. And I thought, you know what? That's not a waste of time. That's the best thing you could do with your time. You know, spend time with your friends. So it's really a beautiful thing. But we have to make sure we have good communication, because then that will lead to community, which will lead to communion, CCC. I like to use all the same initials. And there's nothing higher than communion. What are some of the ways, the holy ways that we use that word? Communion. Yes. 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 A hacker? That's somebody who's really, really good with computers. Oh, you can tell her. Tell her.
He's a beast guy with computers who can hack into almost anything, unless it's like super safety lab, like the president's war plane. Yeah, they don't really even need it.
Yeah, there are people that break into your computer, and it's not for good reasons. They want to just ruin your computer and just cause mischief. There are people, I know why, it's like, these people, it's really sad. It's just because they can do it, and it's very sad. They just do it to be mean. That's what a hacker is. Okay, so communion, what are some holy ways that we use that word? Yeah.
We have Holy Communion.
Holy Communion, Jesus. See, I said there's nothing higher than communion, right? Jesus, Holy Communion. What do we call the saints in heaven? Yeah, the communion of saints.